Questing is one of the critical pillars of World of Warcraft. It's how you gain experience and gear, and is the main incentive for traveling across the land and exploring exotic places, facing increasingly powerful enemies along the way. Gathering quests, escort quests, breadcrumb quests, there are thousands of different objectives scattered throughout the game, but what about secret quests? The ones you're not really supposed to find on your own, or those that take the support of the entire community to even have a chance of solving. The Fell Cycle or the Lucid Nightmare puzzles might come to mind if you've played modern WoW, or maybe the rune quests from Season of Discovery, but what about the very first mystery quests added to Azeroth? Today, I want to explore one of Classic WoW's first secret puzzles, which originates not too far from home, but is overlooked by many players to this day. This is the quest for Sweet Amber. As always, thank you for the fun comments and support, and with all that being said, let's get right into it. Our journey today begins in Westfall, a sun-baked land now overrun with the Defias Brotherhood and their allies. The Dagger Hills in the south are under the control of the bandits, the area an appendage of their main stronghold of Moonbrook, and the dead mines below. There's little refuge to be found up here, but there is someone who's willing to speak with you, and maybe share a pint as well. Grimboo's Thunder Brew, a dwarf from Ironforge, has set up a small camp in the middle of a clearing. When you're questing through here and eliminating some Defias, you might be caught off guard by this happy camper, who's in the business of brewing, but there's actually a partial explanation for why he's out here. At the town of Karanos far to the north, Ragnar Thunderbrew mentions him by name. Welcome to the Thunderbrew Distillery, founded by dear old pappy Archelaus Thunderbrew. I've been keeping the place running ever since my older brother, Grimbooz, disappeared in a drunken haze a few harvests ago. A random but intriguing bit of family history, and it's interesting to think that this NPC was once the host of one of Dún Morrow's premier establishments. While we don't know exactly why Grimbooz ran off to Westfall of all places, the zone's affinity for crops and grain could provide ample opportunities for his brewing experiments. It seems the bandits are okay with him hanging out up here, and it's not a stretch to imagine them even reaping the benefits of his craft, using stolen coin and maybe even grain to support his work. While you might first encounter the brewer during your war against the Defias, you won't require his expertise until you venture to Redridge, where barkeep Daniels of Lakeshire asks you to help him restock in the quest Dry Times. This quest takes you to Goldshire, Stormwind, Darkshire, and back to Grimbooz in Westfall, where you can obtain a keg of Thunderbrew lager after supplying him with some hops. Daniels knows where you can find him, so it seems this campsite has been established for some time now, and his skills are well known in the region. As a side note, this is also one of the first examples in Classic WoW of a quest within a quest, as the hop gathering step is a mini repeatable quest you'll need to do to obtain the keg. Anyway, once you're done gathering hops, you might think that this is the last you'll ever see of the brewer, and you'd be right, sort of. No other NPCs ever send you back to see this guy, and most players probably move on from this low-level zone and never look back. However, we still gotta talk secrets, and I wanted to start with this foundation to establish a background for this character and what he's all about. If you return to Grimbooz at level 40, way above the typical level range for Westfall, you'll find another quest waiting for you. In the land to the south where vines twist and creep, lies a hidden well where the water runs deep. Pure as the light's sacred daughter, bring to me now some holy spring water. It makes you think about the first players to ever discover this quest back in 2004 or 2005, finding something so out of the way during this age of exploration before quest tracking add-ons, though serious gamers back then might have found it in the official strategy guide. The quest is cryptic and delivered as a riddle, but at least there's a bit of detail to work with here in this first piece of the puzzle. The only other info we know is the name of the quest, Sweet Amber, which we'll soon know is the type of ale we're helping brew this time. Maybe now that you've come back as a more seasoned adventurer, Grimbooz senses you're ready to help him with a more intense recipe. To the south is Stranglethorn Vale, a vast jungle supposedly containing this hidden well. Though it may not be until several levels later, you can eventually find the Naga-infested Nekmani wellspring to the north of Booty Bay, and after crossing an ancient troll bridge, you can click on the shrine and retrieve the holy spring water. We don't know the details behind this shrine, but according to Mock Thardine at Gromgal, many cultures on Azeroth have documented it as a sort of divine site. Back in Westfall, Grimbooz doesn't explain much, just accepts the water and sends you off with another riddle to unlock. Amber is the hue of my life's longest love, like the last embers of dusk in the sky above. Retrieve for me, so that my love shall be born, 1 sack of each, barley, rye, and corn. 3 items this time, and no, they're not just lying around Westfall like oats for Blanchy. This is where the questline truly transforms, in my opinion, into a community puzzle of sorts. The first step you could potentially figure out on your own, but if you're a solo player, there's no way you're tracking down these 3 bags without an online forum or a tracking add-on. This is what sets this story apart from something like Cortello's Riddle or Captain Sanders' Treasure, both of which are a little more self-explanatory in guiding players from place to place. The bags are found in the Swamp of Sorrows, along the coast of Tenaris, and at Shadra Alor in the Hinterlands. And while you probably will visit all 3 of these zones on your leveling journey, the chances of stumbling across the containers on the ground are astronomically small. With literally no clues as to where the objects are hidden, I think the devs fully intended for this to become a group effort online, which of course it did just a few months after launch, during January of 2005. This might be my favorite comment theorizing on the topic. I heard that the items for this quest drop in the Hinterlands, probably at the various troll camps. This quest obviously needs more info in the description, as it would be almost impossible to figure out where these items are obtained. Personally, I think that's kind of the point. The third part of the quest is simpler, requiring a single crafting ingredient that you can purchase on the auction house or find in certain types of chests. I'll mix and mix till we have a mash, for this will be our own private stash. A still must be fashioned of metal strong, bring me some true silver so I can finish this song. 1 true silver bar later, we're good to go. The final 2 steps in the chain are cryptically similar to the bags of grain, with pretty much no information to work with besides your objectives, acquiring a sycamore branch and a charred oak. Within just a couple of days of solving the grain mystery, players took to the forums to report their findings. The sycamore branch dropped from a cursed sycamore treant wandering the Freyfeather Highlands, one of the most remote parts of Feralis. The charred oak, meanwhile, was found overlooking the cauldron in the Searing Gorge, which actually gives us a tiny clue as to the verdant past of this volcanic zone. There's just something so intriguing about hundreds, if not thousands of players traversing the world with unique sets of objectives, and only a few of them having just the right combination of quests to eventually stumble across the object or NPC that the entire community has been searching for. Bringing back the sycamore, then finally the oak, unlocks the long-awaited reward to this puzzle quest. Aged in the barrel, filtered through coal, it passes your lips and right through your soul. So let's us drink now a toast to you, and me while we're at it, Grimbooz Thunderbrew. You receive Thunderbrew's Boot Flask, a unique trinket item that allows you to breathe fire at your enemies, and partake of the ale within too. Not a powerful weapon or gear upgrade in the traditional sense, but I think it's fitting. A strange niche item for a strange niche quest. As players continued to level up and more patches were added to the game, more of these types of quests were added, especially when it came to crafting legendary items or completing epic quests like the Scepter of the Shifting Sands a few years later. But it's hard to deny that this Sweet Amber storyline, which happens long before these other endeavors, is one of, if not the original puzzle quest of classic WoW, requiring a community effort to track down the ingredients. As a final note for today, I'd like to mention that the IDs for the quests and their respective items are nestled right in between iconic quests and items from Elwynn Forest, like the Gold Dust Exchange quest and Rolf and Malachi's medallions. Grimbooz even has an NPC ID that's sandwiched between the Furlbrows of Westfall and Marshal Dugan of Goldshire. All of these connections strongly suggest that this questline was created during one of the earliest stages of development. It's a sign of the developers showing their creativity and wanting to include fun, strange little secrets in this massive world, one of my favorite parts of WoW. And for whatever combination of nostalgic or overly analytical reasons, I think this series of quests deserves to be remembered and appreciated by the classic community. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this deep dive into another of Azeroth's little-known wonders, and I'd love to hear from you all if you've uncovered this puzzle before, or if this is the first time you're hearing about it. A special thank you to my channel members who provide bonus support for these videos, and until next time, may the Force be with you.